Hey there, Taylor Elwood here, and welcome to the Mature Masculinity Podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that's hard to talk about. It's recognizing our entitlement. Or, another way of putting it is recognizing covert contracts. Recognizing when you have a transactional approach to relationship where you're saying, if I do X, then you'll do Y. Perfect example might be if I take you out to an expensive dinner and we go to a show, then when we come home, you're going to have sex with me. That's an example of covert contract, of transactive, of thing. Like if you're thinking that and you go and you take this person out for dinner, you go to a show, and then you come home and they don't feel like having sex and you're upset and feeling resentful because you thought you were going to have sex. That's an example of that. What might have happened differently if you'd been open and transparent and said, hey, tonight I want to go on a date, and afterwards I really want to have sex with you. Or I want to see if you're in the mood, or if you're not, maybe we can figure out another time or something like that. Something honest and open and not and relational, as opposed to, I'm going to do this, and my hope is that you're going to do this in return for me. And when you don't do it, I'm going to be unhappy and angry and resentful, and I'm going to punish you. I'm going to punish you by maybe being cold and withdrawn, or I'm going to punish you by making passive-aggressive comments, or I'm going to punish you in some other way because I'm not happy because you didn't do what I wanted you to do. Let me be very clear here. Anyone is capable of entitled behavior, and chances are, regardless of whether you're an other identified gender, or a woman, or a man, chances are you have been entitled at some point or another in your life. You've had an expectation about how you were going to be treated or what was going to happen. And when it didn't happen, you got upset. Or maybe it did happen, but you weren't quite as happy with it as you thought you would be because it just wasn't quite what you hoped it would be. It can be any and all of those things. I think it's important to unpack this, though, because it is so easy to have a blind spot where we don't see our own entitlement. And I say that as someone who has definitely been blind to my own entitlement at times. Or I've been that man who's been resentful and upset because my partner didn't want to be with me in the way that I hoped for, or didn't want to have sex with me, or didn't want to connect with me in some other form or manner. And it's not always about sex. I want to be very clear about that too, because that is a stereotypical aspect of this, and it's very real. I mean, there's a very real component to that. But I can tell you that I felt resentful sometimes when my partner didn't want to meditate with me, or didn't want to read a book with me, or didn't want to go and do some type of activity. And what did I do? I buried that resentment, and then it came out sideways, and it came out in a way that was ultimately harmful for the relationship. And I didn't see it fully because I was so busy being afraid at the same time. I mean, that's the irony is that if we look at entitlement, it's not just I'm entitled to this behavior. It's also I'm afraid to share what I want and I need and long for. I'm afraid to ask. I'm afraid to be open. I'm afraid to share with you what's going on in here and in here and in here, because I'm afraid you're going to reject me. I'm afraid you're not going to want me. I'm afraid that maybe this won't work out. And I mean, let's be honest here. There's always a chance for rejection. But a lot of times, most of the time, it's not as personal as we make it out to be. I've had this very interesting realization because I made a really big decision at the beginning of September of this year, 2024. And it was one where I thought people were going to be upset. And when I told them about it, I was open and honest. And I said, here's what's going on. Here's what I'm not doing. I've changed my mind. I've realized that this that this path isn't the right path for me, no one really got upset. One or two people had some questions, and they were a little worried for me in the sense of like, okay, do you know what you're going to do next? But nobody really got upset. And it made me realize how much I read more into how someone else is going to respond than how they actually will. And I'm not giving them a chance. And there's a level of entitlement right there. Entitlement comes in many different forms. I mean, I ultimately think that if we really look at entitlement is about a sense of self-importance. I'm important enough that, for example, everyone is going to get upset with me because I didn't do X. Or everyone's going to get upset with me because I want this. But look, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big a deal. And that's what I realized. It was a really good, humbling moment. And it kind of made me laugh. I'm like, oh, well, I guess this isn't as important as I thought it was. I'm like, yeah, it really isn't. Like, this is just you living your life. And hey, it's your life to live. You have to own it. No one else is going to do that for you. And have at it. Go for it. Be real. Be real with yourself. Be real with other people. And it was actually a relief because I wasn't holding on to this sense of entitlement. Instead, I let it go. But I see how in my life, and I want you to reflect on this yourself, where are the areas where I've been entitled? Where are the areas where I've had an expectation around something? Where are the areas where I've said, well, you know, I did X, so this person ought to do Y. Because when we have that kind of mentality where it's like, you owe me in some form or manner, it kills our relationships, folks. It kills our relationships because we have it. Because we think that's more important than the actual connection with the person. And we're reading so much into what we want that person to do that we're not actually being fully present with that person. Think about that. When you are real with other people, when you are open and transparent and honest about what is going on with you and what you are looking for, then you're giving those people an opportunity to respond. And hey, the truth is, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a yes. Sometimes you're not going to get a yes. Sometimes you're not going to get what you want. But what you will get, if it's done right, is you will get honesty. So let's say you take that person out for dinner and a date and all that, and you say, hey, like, I'm really in the mood tonight. And that person says, you know what? I'm really not in the mood. Like, I enjoyed dinner. I enjoyed going out with you, but I just really want to cuddle. Can we just do that instead? Yeah, let's do that. Let's be present. That doesn't mean that some other time what you hoped for wouldn't happen. If anything, it might mean that the next time it'll be more likely to happen. Or it might be less. Like, I don't know. I don't want you to get into the sense that, oh, like, you're going to automatically... But it's about being real. It's about saying, this is what I want and need without putting on a performative show. Because when we put on a performative show, we're creating the foundation for resentment. We're basically poisoning the well. And this isn't easy. I mean, I fully own that and recognize it because, look, I see all the ways it's not easy for me. And if you're a man that's watching this video and you're like, yeah, I've been that man. I've been that man who had this expectation. I didn't get what I wanted. And I got upset and I was passive aggressive. And I pushed it down and it came out sideways. If you're one of those men, then I invite you to contact me, first of all, because I want to help you with that process. Because I know what it is you're going through, because I've been there, done that myself. And I also want to assure you that this is an ongoing process. Like, we all have to work on this. This is part of our accountability. And if you're someone else who's watching this, I just want to reassure you too that, I mean, again, this is This is kind of a human condition. This is not limited to one gender or another or anything else along those lines. Like, we all have moments of entitlement. It's really important that we own them, because the way that we create healthier relationships is when we recognize when we have this kind of mentality at work. And for a lot of men, a lot of them are nice guys, and that isn't a compliment, by the way. A nice guy is this guy who's being nice in order to get something. It's manipulative behavior. Again, this is covert contracts. This is entitlement. It's, if I do this, then you'll do Y. If I give you that, then you'll give me this. It's really important to see how that actually hurts your relationships. Like, it's not real. It's harmful. So I invite you to be open to the possibility that you may have relationships that aren't working. And some of that may be because you have this aspect of entitlement, this aspect of covert contracts, this aspect of, if I do X, then you'll do Y. What would it look like if we got rid of that, and instead if we were just honest and said, hey, I want to be with you tonight, and the person was like, I'm not in the mood. Okay, I can accept that. And instead of pushing for it, if you just be like, all right, I can accept that. I can be here in this moment. What are you in the mood for? Well, I'd really be in the mood to cuddle, or I'd be in the mood for a walk and a talk. And then just be open to that experience. And I'm not saying that this means that you have to put your needs and your wants and your longings on hold. I'm saying that it's more honest and open when you are getting to experience those very real things that you want, without putting yourself into a situation where you're like, I want this and I expect it. But instead, you're open to the experience unfolding organically and naturally. So here's a journaling prompt for you. And I hope this helps you out. I recognize I'm entitled when. So just write that down. And for the next week, just write it out. I recognize I'm entitled when. And write out whatever it is that comes up. And just think about it. This isn't about punishing yourself. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is about recognizing when you're entitled and like what that looks like, so that you can spot it and you can diffuse it, and you can be open and honest with yourself and with the people in your life. And as a result, you can have healthier, happier, safer, and more mature relationships. All right, this is Taylor Elwood signing off. And if you're a man that's watching this video, first of all, if you're anyone watching this video, please subscribe. Feel free to comment, like, whatever else. If you're a man watching this video, I want you to click on the link below. And if you need some coaching, if you need some help in some area of your life, I would love to be that person that you work with. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.